In the beginning, there were secrets too dangerous to speak, truths that have been buried for millennia, wrapped in shadows and whispers. But what if the most ancient lie wasn't about a forbidden fruit, but about a forbidden book? For centuries, humanity has been taught to turn away, to silence the voices of those who dared to question. And yet, in the heart of ancient scriptures, there lies a question, one too powerful to ignore. Why was the Book of Enoch erased from history? Why would a sacred text, revered and quoted within the Bible itself, be so ruthlessly hidden from the world? You've heard the stories, the Watchers, the Nephilim, the flood that wiped out a corrupted world. But what if these tales are not just ancient myth, but a warning, a truth veiled in the deepest corners of time? By the end of this video, you will discover what was hidden from us, and you might never see history, or even yourself, the same way again. Are we on the brink of another great unveiling, or have we already crossed the line between what's known and what's forbidden? In the pages of the Book of Enoch, you will find the key to a mystery that still echoes in the bloodlines of humanity. A legacy of forbidden knowledge, of divine watchers who chose to break the laws of heaven, and of humanity forever changed by their gift and their curse. So, why was this book buried? Why were its teachings silenced? What could it reveal about the true nature of our world and of the cosmic battle that rages beneath the surface? Stay with me, and we will uncover truths that the world has tried so hard to forget. The book that shouldn't exist. In the depths of time, hidden between the lines of history, there exists a book that should have never seen the light of day. A book that dares to speak truths that echo through the cosmos, truths so powerful that entire empires sought to erase them. This is the Book of Enoch. It was written centuries before the rise of the New Testament, by the hand of one man whose name resounds like thunder across ancient texts. The Book of Enoch was once considered sacred scripture, its words imbued with a knowledge too deep for human understanding, offering glimpses of heaven, earth, and the angels who fell between them. The book was written in the 3rd century BC, in a language known as Ge'ez, and preserved in the Christian Ethiopian tradition. Yet, by the time of the early church, it was all but forgotten, rejected and cast aside as heretical. The Council of Nicaea, the councils of Rome and Constantinople, all played a role in sealing its fate. It was excluded from the Christian canon, its teachings suppressed for centuries, leaving its mystery shrouded in the forgotten corners of time. But in 1948, with the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, this forbidden text reappeared, as if the universe itself had deemed it time to be known once more. The most striking truth of all, the Book of Enoch is not just a relic of ancient thought. It was quoted in the New Testament. In the book of Jude, verse 14, it directly references Enoch's prophecy about the coming of the Lord with his holy angels, suggesting that these teachings were not so far removed from the accepted gospel. So why, then, was this book buried? Why was it hidden for so long? The truth, it seems, was too dangerous to let survive. But there's a lesson here, a lesson in the nature of knowledge itself. Just because something doesn't fit into the established narrative doesn't mean it's false. The history of the Book of Enoch teaches us not to dismiss what doesn't conform to our understanding. It encourages us to look deeper, to challenge the walls that society, or even history, may have built around us. The wisdom within may not always come neatly packaged or wrapped in a familiar form, but it's always worth seeking. The Watchers, divine observers or cosmic rebels. In the shadowy folds of the Book of Enoch, we encounter the Watchers. These aren't mere angels of light, these are beings of extraordinary power, tasked with observing humanity from the heavens. The Watchers were sent to guide and teach, yet they strayed from their divine mandate, descending to earth and interacting with mankind in ways that would forever alter the course of history. They were not just observers, they were the architects of a forbidden knowledge. The term watcher, or Grigori in the original text, refers to beings who stood at the gates of heaven, their purpose to watch over humanity and keep them in alignment with the divine will. However, these watchers, unlike other angels who remained true to their calling, chose to defy the very laws they were created to uphold. They descended to earth drawn by their fascination with the daughters of men. It was their desire to mate with these mortal women that led to their fall, and the creation of the Nephilim, giants of great power and unmatched strength. This act of rebellion was seen as the ultimate sin by the heavens. But what if the Watchers were not evil, but misunderstood? What if their descent was not merely an act of cosmic defiance, but a profound expression of their compassion and their desire to give humanity knowledge that could free them from the limitations of their mortal existence? The Watchers were not simply fallen angels, they were the first to break the chains of ignorance. They sought to bring enlightenment to the earth, but in doing so, they faced divine retribution. This is where we begin to see a deeper complexity, an irony woven into the story of the Watchers. In their attempt to give humanity the gifts of knowledge, alchemy, magic, and the arts, they were condemned. Power, without the wisdom to wield it, becomes destructive. But does that mean their rebellion was purely wrong? The story of the Watchers is a reflection of the tension between wisdom and knowledge, between the desires of the human heart and the divine will. Perhaps it is a reminder that the pursuit of wisdom is both a gift and a burden, a power to be handled with care. The Watcher's tale, as tragic as it may seem, invites us to ponder our own desires for knowledge. How often do we reach for what is beyond our grasp, and in doing so, risk losing our way? The Watchers remind us that the journey to enlightenment is not without its perilous consequences. And yet, in their fall, they also open the door to a deeper understanding of the cosmos, a doorway we may all one day choose to walk through. The Nephilim, children of heaven and earth. From the union of the Watchers and the daughters of men came the Nephilim. These were not mere mortals. They were giants, beings of enormous size and strength, who roamed the earth with a power unlike any other. They were both divine and human, caught between two worlds, the celestial and the earthly. Their very existence was a living contradiction, and they were often seen as a destructive force, the harbingers of chaos and ruin. The Nephilim were born of a union that transcended the natural order, a mixing of divine blood and mortal flesh. They were, in a sense, a new kind of being, neither fully human nor fully divine, and it was their very nature that made them so dangerous. Their existence disrupted the harmony between heaven and earth, bringing with it the corruption that would ultimately lead to the Great Flood. But the Nephilim are not merely the stuff of myth. Their legacy can be seen in stories throughout the world. Tales of giants who shaped the earth, who towered above men and wielded unimaginable power. One might look to the story of Goliath, the giant slain by David with a single stone, and see a shadow of the Nephilim's influence. Or perhaps to the ancient myths of the indigenous peoples of North America, who tell stories of great giants who once walked the earth. These stories are not mere folklore. They are echoes of the Nephilim, whose legacy lives on in the myths and legends of cultures across the globe. But the question arises, were the Nephilim simply a race of giants who existed to bring destruction? Or were they a symbol of something deeper, a warning about the dangers of crossing the line between the divine and the mortal? In their very existence, the Nephilim reflect the human desire to reach beyond our limits, to become something more than what we are. They remind us of the temptation to transcend our own nature, to become something greater, and the danger that lies in such ambition. The Nephilim serve as a mirror to our own aspirations, our own desires for power and greatness. They ask us, what are we willing to sacrifice in our quest for knowledge, for power, for immortality? In the pursuit of these things, are we risking our own humanity? And so the story of the Nephilim becomes a powerful metaphor, for the struggle within us all. It asks us to reflect on our own desires and ambitions. Are we seeking knowledge and power for the good of mankind, or are we seeking them to satisfy our own vanity? The Nephilim teach us that the line between the divine and the human is not easily crossed, and that in our pursuit of greatness we must be careful not to lose ourselves. As we continue this journey, we will uncover more layers of this forbidden history, revealing truths that have been hidden for centuries. The questions raised by the Watchers and the Nephilim are questions we must all confront in our own lives. But perhaps, just as the ancient story of Enoch continues to rise from the depths, we too can rise above the limitations of our own understanding and discover a deeper truth, a truth that may change everything we thought we knew about the world and ourselves. Forbidden knowledge, technology before its time. The Watchers, in their fall, didn't merely offer mankind the knowledge of their own kind. They brought with them secrets that, for millennia, would be considered forbidden. These secrets, once shared, would change the trajectory of human history, altering not only what we understood about the world, but also how we would shape it. The knowledge they imparted was not limited to simple wisdom, but to the very fabric of creation itself. Alchemy, astrology, the art of enchantment, and even cosmetics. Gifts from beings who were never meant to interfere with humanity's fate. But why were these gifts deemed so dangerous? The answer lies in the nature of power itself. Knowledge, when wielded without wisdom, becomes destructive. The teachings of the Watchers were not the everyday tools of survival. They were keys to an understanding of the universe's deepest mysteries. The Watchers shared with humankind the forbidden arts, the secrets of the stars, the very essence of how to shape the physical and spiritual world around us. It was power beyond imagination, an untempered force that could bring both creation and destruction. The ability to turn lead into gold, to understand the movement of the stars, and to alter the very nature of life itself. These were not just metaphors, but real, tangible skills that could easily be misused. Just as Prometheus, in Greek mythology, brought fire to humanity, the Watchers brought the fire of knowledge, a flame that would ignite the minds of men, but also scorch their souls. The Bible's story of the tree of knowledge in the Garden of Eden is not just a story of rebellion, it's the story of the dangers of acquiring knowledge too quickly before one is ready to handle it. The Watchers, in their desire to bestow these gifts upon mankind, unknowingly set in motion a chain of events that would lead to the Great Flood. They gave man the power to rise above his station, to break the boundaries between the human and the divine, but at a cost. And yet, as we look upon the modern world, the question arises, are we too repeating the mistake of the Watchers? We stand on the precipice of unprecedented technological advancement, with the power to manipulate the very building blocks of life itself. Just as the Watchers gave humanity the power of knowledge before it was ready, so too do we now possess knowledge that could either elevate us or destroy us. Will we learn from their mistake, or will we, like the Watchers, dive headfirst into the unknown, with all the potential consequences that come with it? The tale of the Watchers and their forbidden knowledge is a stark reminder that some truths are not meant to be rushed into. Power, without the wisdom to guide it, is a force that can turn from a blessing into a curse. Why God sent the flood. DNA, not just sin the flood. An event so profound it wiped the slate clean of human corruption. But the story of Noah's Ark, as told in the Bible, isn't just one of divine retribution for sin. It's also a story about purity, about resetting the very essence of humanity. It's about saving a bloodline that remained untainted, one that had not been corrupted by the unnatural offspring of the Watchers and human women, the Nephilim. The flood, in its cosmic scope, was not just about cleansing sin. It was about preserving the genetic integrity of humanity itself. The idea of a genetic corruption is not a new one. It suggests that the human race in its earliest days was altered, not by the hand of God, but by the intervention of beings from the heavens who sought to blend the divine with the human. The Nephilim, the offspring of the Watchers and mortal women, were not just giants in size, they were hybrids of two worlds, carrying with them the influence of their heavenly fathers. Their very existence threatened the balance of creation, corrupting the human race and pushing the boundaries of what it meant to be truly human. Noah, however, was perfect in his generations, Genesis 6:9. His bloodline had not been tainted by the influence of the fallen angels. It was this untainted bloodline that God chose to preserve, not just for the sake of righteousness, but to ensure that humanity could begin anew. The flood was not just a punishment for sin, it was a cosmic reset, a reset of humanity's genetic blueprint. It was a cleansing of the human race from the corruption that had taken root in the very blood of mankind. But as we look at the world today, we must ask, could this idea of genetic corruption still hold weight in our modern understanding of science? The advancements in genetics, cloning, and even the manipulation of DNA echo the ancient story of the Nephilim. Are we, as a species, once again on the brink of crossing a line that could fundamentally alter what it means to be human? The flood was God's answer to a corrupted creation. But as we delve deeper into the mysteries of our own genetic code, we must ask whether we are tampering with forces beyond our understanding. The flood story invites us to reflect on our own actions. Just as Noah's bloodline remained untainted, so too must we guard the sanctity of what is natural and pure in our own world. To pursue knowledge and power without considering the cost is a path that has led humanity to destruction before. The story of the flood is a stark reminder that there are consequences to tampering with the natural order, and that sometimes the greatest sin may not lie in our actions, but in our very nature. The vanishing prophet. What Enoch saw. Enoch, the prophet who walked with God, was taken up not to die, but to witness the very secrets of heaven. His journey, one of profound divine revelation, took him beyond the earthly realm into the heart of the cosmos itself. What Enoch saw was not just a vision of angels and heaven's glory. He saw the divine judgment upon the Watchers, the great cosmic order, and the ultimate fate of humanity. Enoch's story is one of ascension, not of death, but of transcendence. He was taken by God, elevated above the earthly realm, to witness the things that no mortal could comprehend. He saw the structure of the universe, the layers of the heavens, and the angels who carried out God's will. He saw the future, the final judgment, when the fallen angels would face their reckoning. He saw the fate of the Nephilim, the giants who had brought corruption to the world, and the coming of a new order. Enoch's visions were not just of heavenly realms, but also of the destruction of the old world, the old ways, and the coming of a new one. These visions, recorded in the Book of Enoch, would later inspire the apocalyptic imagery found in the Book of Revelation. But Enoch's story is not just one of prophecy. It is a story of transformation. He was shown the truths that would ultimately lead to the judgment of all creation. He was taken to see things beyond human comprehension, and in doing so he was forever changed. No longer a mere man, Enoch became a bridge between heaven and earth, a witness to the divine mysteries that few would ever know. In Enoch's ascension, we see a metaphor for the journey we must all take if we seek true understanding. Just as Enoch was taken up to see the truths of the universe, so too must we rise above the limitations of our earthly existence if we wish to understand the higher realities of life. The path to truth is not easy. It requires us to transcend the ordinary, to look beyond the veil that separates us from the divine. Enoch's story is a call to us all to seek that higher understanding, to push beyond what we know, and to embrace the mysteries of the cosmos. As Enoch saw the truth, so too must we. His ascension is a reminder that there are truths in this world that are not easily seen, but that are always there for those who are willing to seek them. The question is, will we rise to meet them? Will we be like Enoch, who walked so closely with God that he was taken up, or will we remain bound by the limits of our understanding, never knowing the true depths of the divine? Time is a spiral. The 7 prophetic ages. The ancient seers knew that time was not linear. It was not a simple progression from past to present to future. Instead, time was a spiral, repeating cycles of growth, decay, and renewal. Enoch, the prophet who had been taken up to the heavens, was shown this eternal rhythm, a sequence of ages that would unfold in the fullness of time. In his visions, he saw 7 prophetic ages, each marked by a distinct trial, a divine reckoning, and a revelation that would alter the course of humanity. These ages are not just historical markers, they are cosmic stages that reflect the moral and spiritual evolution of humankind. Each age brings with it a reckoning, a time when humanity must face the consequences of its actions and make a choice. The first age, according to Enoch's visions, was one of innocence, a time when mankind was unaware of the divine law and lived in harmony with nature. But as time spiraled forward, mankind fell into corruption, breaking the laws of heaven and allowing darkness to take root. And so the ages unfold, each one carrying with it a lesson, a challenge, a judgment. The 7 prophetic ages are not merely a sequence of historical events, they are archetypal patterns that shape every civilization. Each age represents a turning point, a crossroads where humanity must choose between light and darkness, between truth and deception. The stories of the great civilizations of Egypt, Greece, Rome, and beyond are not just tales of kings and conquerors, they are reflections of these spiritual ages. Just as Enoch saw the rise and fall of entire nations in his visions, so too do we see history repeat itself in our own time. The question arises, are we nearing the end of one age and the beginning of another? Enoch's vision suggests that we are living in the final age, the one that will bring the ultimate judgment. The signs are all around us, the rise of technology, the breakdown of moral order, the increasing darkness that seems to envelop the world. But just as in the ages before, there is hope. The cycle of time is not merely one of destruction, it is also a cycle of renewal. After the judgment comes the rebirth, the chance to start anew, to rebuild from the ashes of the old. This is the message of the prophetic ages, that no matter how dark the times may seem, there is always the possibility of redemption, of a new beginning. But the key to that renewal lies in our willingness to face the truth, to confront the darkness within ourselves and the world around us. The spiral of time may be inevitable, but the choices we make in each age shape the future that is to come. The Silent War. Why Enoch was buried. Enoch's story did not end with his ascension to the heavens. After he was taken by God, he returned to the earth briefly, but his prophecies were not widely embraced. In fact, the Book of Enoch, his testament to the divine mysteries, was buried, hidden from the world by those who feared the truths it contained. The reason for this is not difficult to understand. Enoch's writings were too powerful, too challenging for those in power to accept. They threatened the established order, questioned the very foundation of religious and political authority. Throughout history, those who have dared to speak the truth have often found themselves silenced. Enoch was no exception. His message was one of cosmic justice, a reminder that the laws of heaven cannot be ignored without consequence. But those who held power feared the upheaval that his teachings would bring. The religious authorities, the rulers of the time, saw the Book of Enoch as a threat to their control. It was a truth too dangerous to be allowed to spread, so it was buried, hidden away in the corners of history, waiting for the day when it would be rediscovered. This silence, this deliberate erasure of truth, was not just an attack on Enoch, but an attack on the very idea of divine justice. Enoch's message was one of hope, but also of accountability. It called on humanity to awaken to the truth of its existence, to recognize the divine order that governs all things. But in the silence, the world remained ignorant of this truth. The powers that be sought to keep the knowledge hidden, afraid of the change it could bring. Why was Enoch buried? Because the world was not ready to hear the truth he spoke. His prophecies were too radical, too challenging to the status quo, but that silence has not lasted forever. In our time, the Book of Enoch is being rediscovered, its secrets coming to light once more. The silence that was imposed upon it for so long is beginning to break, and as it does, we are called to listen, to hear the message that was silenced for so long. Enoch's burial is a lesson to us all. It reminds us that truth is not always easy to accept, and that those who speak the truth often find themselves marginalized or silenced. But it also reminds us that the truth will not stay buried forever. It will rise again, as it always has, to challenge the darkness and bring light to those who are willing to see. Is the battle still going on? The story of Enoch and the Watchers is not just a tale from the distant past. It is a reflection of a battle that continues to rage in our own time. The cosmic struggle between light and darkness, between the divine and the corrupt, is not a battle confined to the pages of ancient texts. It is a battle that is still playing out in the world today, and it is a battle that we are all a part of. The question that we must ask ourselves is, are we aware of the battle that is taking place around us? In Enoch's time, the Watchers descended to earth, bringing with them the knowledge that could either elevate humanity or destroy it. Today we are faced with similar challenges. Technology, power, and knowledge are at our fingertips, but so too are the dangers that come with them. We live in an age of unprecedented technological advancement, but we also live in an age of increasing division, corruption, and moral decay. The battle that Enoch witnessed is not over. It is merely taking a new form. The forces that seek to control, to manipulate, and to corrupt are still at work in our world. They come in many forms, through politics, through media, through technology, through the very systems that govern our lives. But just as the Watchers were once challenged by the divine order, so too are the forces of darkness being challenged today. The battle for the soul of humanity is not over. It is ongoing. What role do we play in this battle? Are we the ones who will stand for truth? Or will we allow ourselves to be swept up in the tide of corruption? Enoch's story is not just a history lesson, it is a call to action. It reminds us that we are not passive observers of the world around us. We are active participants in the unfolding drama of creation, and the choices we make today will determine the world we leave for future generations. The battle is still ongoing, and it is one that will ultimately be decided by each of us. Will we be the light that shines in the darkness, or will we succumb to the forces that seek to enslave us? Enoch's ascension is a symbol of hope, a reminder that, even in the midst of the greatest darkness, there is always the possibility of redemption. The battle continues, but the outcome has not yet been determined. It is up to us to decide which side we will stand on. As we reach the end of this journey, we find ourselves standing at the precipice of ancient wisdom, looking out over a world that has long since forgotten the truths that once guided it. In the pages of the Book of Enoch, we see a mirror held up to humanity, revealing the choices we've made, the paths we've taken, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. It is a story of angels who fell, of giants born of forbidden unions, of knowledge gifted and misused. But beneath it all, there is a thread of hope, an invitation to awaken to the divine within us and rise above the noise of the world. The lessons of the Watchers, the Nephilim and the flood, are not just stories from a distant past, they are reflections of the challenges we face today. The battle between light and darkness is not some ancient war confined to the pages of old texts. It is a living, breathing struggle that continues to unfold in our lives. Every choice we make, every thought we entertain, every action we take shapes the world around us. We are, in a sense, the new watchers, standing at the crossroads, entrusted with the knowledge of our own potential and the responsibility that comes with it. But with this knowledge comes the choice to either use it for the good of all or let it corrupt us, just as it corrupted the watchers long ago. The Book of Enoch calls us to rise above the distractions of this world, to seek truth in the face of deception, and to live in accordance with the divine will that has always guided humanity. It calls us to step into the light, even when it seems that the darkness is overwhelming. For as history has shown, the darkness may appear to have its moment, but it will never have the final say. If this video has touched your soul, if it has sparked a fire within you, I invite you to share in this journey with me. If the light of truth has shone through even a sliver of your day, let us join together in support of this path. Your presence, your energy, your words, whether in the comments, through likes, or by subscribing, are the fuel that keeps this work alive. I pour my heart into these videos because I believe in the power of sharing this message, and every bit of support, no matter how small, is an invaluable gift that I cherish deeply. So, if you feel this has brought you closer to the truth, if you've found solace, understanding, or inspiration in these words, please consider helping me continue to share these messages of light. Your support, your encouragement makes all the difference in the world. Whether it's a comment, a like, or simply subscribing to keep these discussions alive, it all plays a part in keeping the flame burning. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of our existence, the story of Enoch and the Watchers will forever remain a beacon, a reminder that there is always more to discover, always more to awaken to. And in this ever-turning spiral of time, may we be the ones who choose the light, the ones who awaken to the truth, and the ones who share that light with the world. Thank you, from the depths of my heart, for walking this path with me. Your presence here, your engagement, your energy, is a gift that I do not take lightly. Together, we are part of something greater than ourselves, something ancient, something divine. Keep shining, keep seeking, and keep sharing the light, for the world needs it now more than ever.